Back to the deep dive. Today, we are ripping the cover off the high-stakes world of the Collie Football League. This deep dive is really tailor-made for you.
Yeah.
It's a shortcut to understanding the tectonic plates shifting right under the surface of this whole competition.
Right, and year 3 was.
Yeah.
It was something else. You had these incredible highs, some just spectacular collapses.
Oh, yeah.
And really the cementing of a legacy that just casts a shadow over everything.
It really does. So, for our roadmap today, we're using the official Collie Football League, the Year 3 postseason postmortem.
And our mission here is, I think, pretty critical. We're trying to move past the simple box scores. We want to extract the pure analytical gold.
Right.
We're talking about dominance, some really specific points of disappointment, and who the genuine emerging contenders are. We have to understand not just who won, but how the power dynamics are shifting.
And who can actually challenge the king.
Exactly. Who has...
It just revolves around one single figure, Coach Bam and TCU.
It has to.
This isn't just a great run. This is 2 straight national championships after the league restarted.
Hasn't just secured his 2nd title in a row. He's still the only user to lift that trophy since this whole cycle began.
Which is just wild when you think about it.
It is. And what's fascinating is the implication. For 3 years, a whole league of elite coaches. I mean, guys who win everywhere else. They've tried every strategy you can imagine.
And failed.
And failed to stop him.
I just wonder if the rest of the league is really, grapples with what that actually means. It's not just Bam being good.
No.
It's sustained. It's repeatable. It's championship level execution. This is TCU defining the entire competitive landscape.
That's it.
If you are a coach in this league, year 3 just proved that your entire approach, your philosophy, has to be centered on one question. How do I beat Coach Bam?
That's exactly right. And the source implies that Bam has successfully evolved his style over these 3 years.
He's not predictable.
Not at all. He avoided that trap of predictability that so often undoes these dynasty builders. He isn't static. He's adapting his recruiting, his scheme, his play calling.
Always a step ahead.
Always. And this dynamic evolution is what makes him seem so, unstoppable.
So the question for every other program is, how do you respond when the benchmark just keeps moving higher and higher?
Right. You can't just rely on the same old recruiting battles and schemes that already fell short in years 1 and 2.
You need a radical evolution. The data seems to suggest that success against TCU, it requires more than talent. It requires a total unyielding focus that maybe only one coach has right now.
That is the foundational insight we have to keep coming back to. TCU's dominance is the ultimate non-negotiable benchmark. And if you can't match their level of preparation, their commitment, well, you're just playing for second place.
Which brings us directly to the coaches who had the talent.
Right.
They had the schemes, but they just dramatically fell short when the lights were brightest.
Mm-hmm.
And here's where it gets really interesting, because we've got 3 major cases of year-end disappointment from coaches who showed, massive promise.
Yeah, these are the disappointing challengers. They couldn't clear that final hurdle, and often for reasons that have, almost nothing to do with X's and O's.
So let's start with the Minnesota conundrum, Coach Trill.
Okay.
The source really pulls no punches here. It says he fell short.
Yeah.
Yet again, he recruits like a champion, but doesn't finish like one.
And the comparison being leveled at Trill is, it's harsh, but it's analytically instructive.
What do they say?
They're calling him the white James Franklin. And for anyone who follows the league closely, that comparison,
it just conjures a very specific image, doesn't it?
It really does. It means a super high floor. You get great recruiting, regular season wins.
Maybe an October ranking, yeah. But a profound, often critical inability to win the true rivalry games, or to beat the absolute best of the best when the stakes are highest.
So it's the definition of a perennial good, not great program.
Yeah.
And for Minnesota fans, that has to be so frustrating because they know the talent is there.
It is. The source asks 3 questions about Trill. Is it a coaching issue, a philosophy issue, or a talent issue?
And what does the data suggest?
Well, if we connect it back to Bam's evolution, the most likely issue is philosophical adaptation.
Okay.
Trill is a great recruiter, so talent is a check. He wins most of his games, so coaching adjustment, check.
Right.
But the philosophical flaw seems to be this inability to adjust his system, his game day strategy against opponents who are just as talented and crucially equally or more committed. He hasn't figured out how to be unpredictable when it matters.
And the source is pretty clear. They're running out of excuses.
They are. The failure is consistency at the highest level.
Consistency is one thing, but our next case raises much deeper questions about just what it takes to be an elite coach in this league.
Yeah, this one is different.
We're moving to the bizarre case of Georgia Tech's long-distance efforts under Coach Steezy. I mean, he brought them back to the playoffs.
High peaks, absolutely.
Got a real win over Florida, a sim win over California. He generated a real momentum.
He did. But his exit was brutally swift, sent packing after facing, and I'm quoting, international internet and TCU.
Wow.
But the anecdote that's buried in the postmortem, that's what really speaks volumes about commitment. Reports found Coach Steezy was leading his team via FaceTime.
Wait, via FaceTime?
Via FaceTime,
Yeah.
Because he was in Turkey. And the source adds the kicker. It wasn't for Thanksgiving.
I mean, a high-level playoff run managed remotely from another continent.
Yeah.
You're dealing with time zones, internet lag. That is just wild.
It is.
But wait, doesn't the fact he even made the playoffs prove that maybe scheme and talent can overcome those barriers? Maybe this commitment thing is overblown.
That's a fair challenge. But if you look at the results, the answer is no.
Okay.
Steezy achieved contention, but he did not achieve victory. And the margin between playoff contention and winning a championship in this league is razor thin.
And that margin is immersion.
It's total, singular, year-round immersion. When you are literally operating with long-distance lag, can you really review game tape with the depth you need or make those critical midweek adjustments that BAM thrives on?
Probably not.
The source strongly suggests that this lack of singular physical focus was the margin of error that cost them the title.
That's a truly compelling piece of evidence. So the league demands scheme plus total immersion.
Exactly.
Okay, now let's talk about Coach Easy and the California commitment question. He had massive success.
Yeah.
A conference championship, a Heisman Trophy winner. Everything looks set.
High peaks for sure.
Yep.
But then came the collapse. And this is the most critical, most damning detail of all. Easy punted on his last 3 games.
Just gave up.
That immediate drop-off, it just led to massive questions about his commitment level when the title was right there, within his reach.
And there's a comparison being tossed around for him too, isn't there?
There is, a very potent one. Is Easy the Lane Kiffin of the Coley Football League?
A brilliant tactician, a great recruiter, but maybe has a wandering eye when the daily grind sets in.
That label is powerful because it implies a love for the flash, for the building, but not necessarily the love for the gritty work you need to maintain that status through November and December.
Right.
And the source notes the specific concern. Some say he likes recruiting more than winning.
Wow, that's a big one.
It suggests his priorities shifted once the recruiting class was locked in, or maybe once the Heisman was won. Year 4 really needs to clear this up. If he can't finish strong, California will just stay a perennial disappointment no matter how much talent they have.
So fascinating. The story so far is that talent is cheap, but commitment to the grind is what actually challenges BAM.
It seems to be the key variable.
But it's not all doom and gloom. If the goal is to stop TCU, then hope has to spring eternal. And year 3 did give us several rising contenders who might just have that focus.
Absolutely. The depth of the league is growing, and these coaches are establishing themselves as serious, sustainable threats for year 4.
So let's start with Coach Willie of Florida. He brought the Gators back to real relevance. Their first playoff appearance in the CFP era.
Huge first step.
Gainesville expects greatness, and Willie delivered.
Yeah, and the question for Coach Willie is this the start of a real resurgence, or was it just a one-off performance spike?
Right.
Florida has the infrastructure, the recruiting power, the history. That Gator tradition is a massive asset, so the analysis has to be on sustainability. Was last season a fluke?
Or are they returning to a Spurrier-like time of dominance?
Exactly, where they're expected to compete for the national title every single year. If Willie can do that, he becomes a primary challenger to BAM.
Then you've got Coach Fun at Kentucky. For years, we've heard about expected promise, and Fun finally cashed in. A 10-2 record, just narrowly missing the playoffs. That is a huge psychological step for that program.
It's a massive step. But now, Fun faces the ultimate test of adaptability. His best player, Chris Johnson Jr., is gone.
To the NFL. Big shoes to fill.
Huge. So this sets up the perfect test for year 4. We need to watch 2 things. First, how does the offense evolve without that star power? Can you win with pure scheme?
And second,
Second, does the defense maintain its status as one of the best in the country? If those two things hold, then Kentucky might finally be regarded as a legitimate football school.
We also have two coaches who kind of represent an injection of new blood, Coach Poe at Florida State and Coach Sino at Washington.
Right, the new league members.
And they made an immediate splash, took over established teams and kept them in the conversation all year.
And taking over a powerhouse like that is deceptively difficult. You get talent, but you also get expectations, maybe some philosophical baggage.
A lot to navigate.
A lot. And they navigated it successfully. So now their challenge shifts. They have to build on that stability with elite recruiting and sustained excellence. The media has definitely taken note.
And finally, in the optimism column, there's Coach Mayer at Miami. Best season he's had, on and off the field. Ranked most of the year, solid recruiting class coming in.
The Hurricanes showed massive improvement. But just like Kentucky, Miami is facing a Heisman-sized challenge.
Bryce Underwood is gone.
He's gone to the NFL. This is a major inflection point. So the Year 4 challenge is crystal clear. What can the mayor of Miami football do with a blank canvas?
Yeah.
If he can replace that talent with scheme and development, it proves he built a robust system, not just a team around one star player. And that's the difference between good and top tier.
So we've defined the king, we've dissected the failures of the challengers, and we've established a promising new guard. But now we have to turn to a more somber case.
Yeah.
One that raises the deepest questions about motivation. I'm talking about the lingering doubt around Coach Darrell at Louisville.
It's a situation that leaves analysts genuinely perplexed. The source's observation about Louisville is, it's just damning in how little it says.
What does it say?
The only factual certainty mentioned is, and I'm quoting here, they do play football there.
That's it.
That's it. And that level of ambiguity, it just speaks volumes about their visibility, their performance, their commitment.
But despite all that, they did manage to find a heartbeat in November. They rallied late and actually finished the year ranked.
A minor miracle is the polite term.
Yeah.
The media criticism that followed was incredibly harsh. One report suggested that there isn't one person outside of the Turnbow family who is proud of how the Cardinals played.
Wow. So this isn't about a bad season. It's about a lack of identity.
A lack of competitive identity, relying on these sporadic surges of effort instead of consistent focus.
So that forces the hard question about Coach Carroll, doesn't it? Is he a one-trick, one-player pony? Has he just become incapable of adapting?
And the underlying implication ties right back to our theme with Steezy and Easy. It's about focus. We have to ask if Coach Darrell's heart is really in the daily, year-round grind required to compete at BAM's level.
Right.
If he's just relying on those little surges in November, he's never going to build a dynasty. The question isn't if he can coach, but if he wants to coach at the level this league now demands.
That is the perfect point to wrap this all up. So what does this all mean for the league?
Yeah.
I mean, year 3 solidified BAM's utter dominance. It's clear he's evolved, but it also revealed a massive appetite for change, and crucially, it helped define that fatal flaw of his rivals, a lack of sustained year-round commitment.
Yeah, we saw the rise of promising challengers, Willie, Fun, Poe, Sino, Mayer. They're laying the groundwork. But the failures of Trill, Steezy, and Easy were so instructive. They showed the difference between contention and dominance.
The source really captures that anticipation perfectly. It says, lots of questions to be answered, games to be played, awards to be won, and recruits to commit. Year 4 shaping up to be the best yet.
And that hunger for year 4 is based on the hope that someone can finally match the champion's intensity. And you have to wonder, right, considering the commitment questions around Easy, Steezy, and Darrell, does sustained success now require more than just talent?
You mean?
Does it demand that total year-round unyielding focus that Coach Abam seems to embody? Is absolute singular commitment the new secret weapon you need just to step onto the same field as the champion? That is a foundational question facing every single coach this offseason, and the answer is going to define year 4.
A fantastic point to chew on. You have the sources, you have the insights. Now go forth and keep digging for knowledge. We'll see you next time for the next deep dive.